So, good evening to all of us. Today in GE2, Social Science and Philosophy, we will tackle about the concept of society. According to Webster's New World Dictionary of the American Language, 1978, defines social science as the study of people living together in groups as families, tribes, communities, etc. So, social science po is yung pag-aaral to the person living together as a group. Like families, tribes, communities, includes includes dito yung mga sa barangay. Yes, about sa society natin. So, a group of motes around a light are aggregations but they do not constitute societies. Unlike siya sa motes, you know about the motes, para po siyang butterfly pero hindi po siya totally like butterfly. Parang may pagka-familiar po sila kasi they are both lumilipad at they are both may pakpak. Yan, pero magkaiba po sila. Parang kumbaga yung butterfly maganda, yung moths medyo pangit. Ganun. So, wala silang societies kasi nga po, lumalabas sila pag madilim, pag gabi. Yes, kung saan saan nakakapunta. Wala silang society na masasabi kasi nga they live lang sa puno, ganun na yung puno pwedeng ma-destroy. Unlike sa tao na merong masabing society na kahit masira, nandun pa rin, nananatili pa rin na nandun. Unlike sa modes na pag nasira yung puno, may tendency na yung puno na yun hindi na mapapalitan. So in addition, ang Homo sapiens pala is a study of human being. Tayo po yun, yung tinutukoy niya. So, kasi nga po maraming changes na naganap. So, they have a lot of theory kung saan nga ba nagmula ang isang bagay o isang tao. Tayong mga tao, saan tayo nanggaling. Marami pong mga theory, mga teorya, just like the Big Bang Theory, the biblical, kung saan nagmula ang isang tao. So, the concept of society involves the notion that the members of are interacting with one another. So, nagkakaroon po ng interacting with one another ang mga tao, ang isang person to person, isang tao. Bakit? Kasi meron po yung sinasabi nilang society. Yung ating society ngayon. Kung nasaan tayo ngayon. So, yan po kasi yung magsisilbi sa atin to communicate to each other, to knowing to each other. So far as I know, modes are not interacting with one another when they are gathered around the light. So, unlike sa modes po is hindi sila nagkakaroon ng interacting kapag may ilaw. Kasi nga po, napapansin ko dito sa mga modes na to is tawag nito, nagkakalat-kalat sila. They cannot interact to each other kasi wala naman silang isip para mag-isipin nila, ayun yung anak ko, ayun yung kan ko, ganyan-ganyan. Unlike sa tao, meron tayong kakayahan to think, meron tayong isip to think, unlike sa kanila. Although meron silang isip, kumbaga may isip sila pero yung isip nilang yun hindi kagaya sa tao. Kumbaga meron tayong moral na sinasabi. Meron yung mind natin na isip, unlike sa kanila. So, The notion of interaction is, however, only a necessary feature of the concept of society. It is not sufficient by itself to indicate what we have in mind when we use the concept. Ayun na yung nabanggit ko kanina, na meron tayong kakayahan to think para mag-isip, alam o alamin kung ano yung tama at mali. Biologists use the term ecological system. So, familiar naman po tayong lahat sa ecological system. Ito po ay refers to the interactions among different species. Different species. Ito po yung kahit hindi natin gaanong kakilala, especially ganun din sa mga hayop, kagaya ng aso, nagkakaroon sila ng interact or nagkakaroon na tayo ng interact to each other. Yes. The concept of society usually refers to interactions among the members of a single species. Single species po, ito po yung para siyang single organism na consists of single cell such as reproduction, digestion, and the bacteria. So, hindi po natin makikita na or masasabi na single species lang ang mga ito by the use of our naked eye. Maliban kung gagamit tayo ng Microsoft para pakita kung ano nga ba yung mga maliliit na nandoon. Hindi naman tayo pwede makakakita ng agad ng bacteria. We don't use something para makita sila. We could go a bit further and say that in a society, the members of a species cooperate with one another to achieve objectives collective that they could not achieve as individuals. Some of interactions among people are characterized by the conflict rather than cooperation, and some are things that people do not weaken or damage the system of social organization and work against the achievement of collective objectives. Kasi nga po, nagkakaroon po tayo kasi dito ng problema. Yes, ng problema. Later on, malalaman natin yung mga yun. So, we have the dysfunctional. Dysfunctional, it talk about the behavior such as crime and war. So, and malfunctional phenomenon such as unemployment and population. See the different. Sa dysfunctional po, is talk about the crime and war. Ito yung mga hindi natin inaasahan na mangyayari. Although, na hindi natin napagandaan. For example, dito sa crime, kunyari merong nagpatayan, hindi naman natin alam, nandun tayo sa situation na yun. Hindi natin alam kasi nga po bigla ang nangyari without the study, without the knowing. Yes. Unlike po sa malfunctional, unemployment and population. Familiar naman na tayo dito sa population kasi marami na or issue na po ang teenage pregnancy. So, talagang kapag ang usapan teenage pregnancy, natural, doon na papasok yung pagtaas ng populasyon. So, especially ngayon pala is maraming mga unemployment kasi nga po dahil sa pandemic na hindi naman natin inaasahan. So, although ng unemployment is bago pa naman dumating yung mga or yung COVID-19 is marami ng unemployment kasi nga po maraming hindi nakapag-aral, maraming mga opportunities na hindi nila nakuha kasi nga po maraming hindi nakapag-aral, and then syempre mawawalan ng mga trabaho. And then, siguro may mga issue, kaya, ayun. Some social scientists, include the Winter, could say that the main objective of social science is the study of such dysfunctions and malfunctions. Just the medical scientist is mainly concerned with disease, but disease cannot be studied without understanding what constitutes good health. Tama nga naman. Paano natin mapag-aaralan ang sakit without the studying, without understanding kung ano nga ba yung pwede nating i-consult sa may sakit. Kaya po nag-aaral tayo. The counterpart of this social science is that it's necessary to employ some notion of the criteria of healthy system of social organization. Kailangan po natin magkaroon ng social organization o healthy system of social organization. Paano nyo po masabi? In the way how we can handle. Paano tayo mamahala? Kasi nga po, kung walang namamahala sa atin, hindi po tayo magkakaroon ng magandang outcome or just like that, walang mamamahala, kung walang mag-lead, wala pong mag-guide. This means that social sciences are closely connected with that branch of philosophy called ethics. Ethics is the study of what could be regarded as good and bad in the moral sense of this term. So, ethics po, ito po yung how we can know the good and the bad in the moral sense of this term. Paano natin, how we can knowing sa good and bad. Kahit naman alam nating bad na, para sa atin, iisip pa rin natin na maganda. Just like that. Mainly of the branch of philosophy called philosophy of science or epistemology. The study of how we are able to know whether our notions or theories about empirical phenomena are true or false. Humans are not only animals that form societies, as I am here using that term, as soon as we move above the level of our single called organism. Yun sabi ko kanina about single organism. Many species that with family groups in which two parents continue their cooperation in rearing the progeny. Kakaroon kasi tayo ng problema dito sa pag nagkaroon ng dito po sa family, sa group which could two parents, siyempre si nanay at si tatay. So, sila, they can grow up their family by producing babies. Yes, as a group. With the two, si nanay at si tatay. So, the scale of sociality to its end corporate form is such the social insect. So, ito po yung mga ants, termites, bees, and man. So, man po, ito po yung tayo, and then, man is the human, tayo po yun. Then, the insect, ito po yung mga, although hayop, ito ba masabing animals, pero, kumbaga ito yung mga hindi ganong nakakapagbigay ng tulong sa atin, unlike yung kalabaw, ganun, na pwede natin silang gamitin para kainin, and also pwede nating magamit para sa pagtatrabaho. It seems rather our ability to compromise or compartmentalize the study of social behavior with man in one department and all other animals in another, since sociality in the phenomenon that runs across species differences. So, nagkakaroon po tayo ng pag-aaral sa social behavior natin kasi nga po, it is, kumbaga, nagkakaroon ng more species, magkakaiba-iba. So, yung pagkakaiba na yun, so nag-i-increase yung population and kita natin yung interact ng bawat isa't isa. Ganun din po sa hayop. Kakaroon din sila ng interaction even di sila magkakilala. Especially sa mga aso. So, an important features of modern social science is that it views man as an animal species different from other animals in important ways to be sure, but not separated from them categorized fashion that is implied theology. So we have the types of sociality. We have the first, gregariousness. Social entity of some kind, not merely aggregation. So dito po is nagkakaroon po tayo ng physical closeness to each other. So, pero yung kwan po yun, nagkakaroon po tayo ng problem, just like discrimination, sa pagkakaroon po ng social class. So, diba iba tayo kasi merong middle class, lower, top, ganun. Then, sa angkas ng pamumuhay, nagkakaroon ng discrimination, especially din sa gender. Sa gender po and religion. Kakaroon po tayo ng conflict with that. So we have the hierarchy. The explanation of the behavior is historical rather than functional. So, dito po is tinutukoy niya yung how we can to achieve freedom and the authority. So, pero dito po is nagkakaroon po ng economic inequality, hindi pantay-pantay na pagtrato sa mga manggagawa natin. Just like, kung po hindi porket itong isa is maagang laging pumapasok and then yung isa laging late, pantay pa rin sila ng sahod. Yes, hindi nagkakaroon ng economic inequality. So, walang fairness of the social system. Hindi pantay na pagtrato. So, next is the biological differentiation. So, dito po is verdicts which includes man. Each species has two forms, male and female. Meron lamang po tayong dalawang groups ng species, which is the babae at lalaki. Unlike po, we have a lot of genders like the LGBTQ. So, tinutukoy lamang niya po dito is two, babae at lalaki lamang. So, the individual is helpless without the service to provide by other members of the colony. So, para pong itong merong queen, pinakamataas, and the soldier to support, parang pababa po siya ng antas. Until sa baba, yung mga manggagawa to give the support sa pataas until sa kanila. So, parang po siya, parang may nagmamanage or merong tumutulong sa task nila to lead as a leader down to pababa. Merong mga kanya-kanyang work. So, role differentiation between men and women in modern societies. Maybe. So, ito po kasi is nagkakaroon po siya ng parang sa mag-asawa, babae at lalaki. Ngayon, itong panahon na, ngayon. Kasi more on para siyang yung babae is siya na yung nasusunod sa isang family. Yes. Then susunod naman yung lalaki, which is yung asawa, then yung mga anak. So we have another one, functional specialization. The functional or the fundamental task of social science is to analyze how this very expensive and comprehensive system works, mainly in order to understand its defects and defensive so that they can made to work better. So dito po is tinutukoy niya yung mga law, yung theories, yan. They can search about the law or the task. May mga patakaran na mga sinusunod po rito, and para siyang dito guys, more on may research, may law na sinusunod, then may research na nangyayari. Kasi nga po is parang may sinusunod ng rules, something like that. May sinusunod na rules bago pumunta sa investigation or the research. So next one, the altruism, division of labor based upon the biological differentiation, functional specialization. The thesis that is high degree of sociality always involve division of labor in empirical incorrect. So ito po is to identify the problem. You should know or you should investigate that result from the fact. So dito po kailangan nating identify the problem first, and then you should investigate or you should about research something and the result, which is the fact, yung mga katotohanan. So we have the altruisality and culturalization. Altruical animal and a great deal of his behavior is a consequence of the process of culturalization or socialization. So altricial, ito po is tinutukoy niya po dito is yung process, how they can consequence of the process. So paano nga ba yung deal with the behavior of the animals? Yes. So altriciality is borrowed from ornithomology. So hiram na pangalan. Ang ornithomology po is the study of birds. Ito po yung mga pag-aaral sa mga ibon or pagtulong sa mga ibon na walang ito yung mga kinukuha yung mga ibon na iniwan ng mga parents, and they take care for them. Just like po yung mga agila na ibon, bali dangerous species na sa mga yon, then binabawal po ng mga otoridad natin just because of their safety. So where it used the biologists to refer to the fact that is many species of birds. So yun yung nabanggit ko kanina. So we have the rise of the age of science. So as you can see in the picture, siya po si Leonardo da Vinci. Isa po siyang painter and also a mechanical engineer and inventor and mathematician. So mathematician po siya, also scientist din. Develop a new approach to the pictorial arts that had been begun more than a century earlier by Giotto. So, ito po kasi guys, si Leonardo po is napakagaling niya sa pagpinta. So, he show about the painting. So, kumbaga, as a nature, pinipaint niya yung mga pwede niyang i-invento, just like that. Yung parang yung parang, pag nagpipaint kasi siya, or parang yun yung feel niya to investigate or to research. Yes, kasi po, isa po siyang painter. Unlike mamaya kay Andreas. So, later on, matatakad natin yung difference yung dalawa. Depicted figures as living individuals that the viewer could understand because they were like the people he knew in everyday life. So, parang sa tao po, or para sa tao, sa bawat isa, is, pero kung pipinta mo yung bawat isang tao, sample mo, kasi kung nagpipaint siya, alam niya parang about the research, yung nasabi ko kanina, they know how they can interact in everyday life. Carefully observe his subject and paint his understanding of what we had observed in the straightforward yet interpretive way. So, ayun na. More on sa painting, kasi painter po siya. He made the anatomical studies of the human body by dissection. So, effective observation requires investigation of what we beneath the surface, so one can understand why things appear as we do and how they can function. So, paano nga ba how they can function? So, also study the hidden mechanics of nature. Siya rin po ang nag-aral, or si Da Vinci po ang nag-aral po sa nature o sa kalikasan. So, siguro ito is nagpipaint siya about more on nature, and then inaano niya siguro kung ano yung pwede niyang maiambag sa kalikasan, sa kapaligiran natin. Unlike kay Andreas Vesalius, who was a student of anatomy, but his investigations of the human body aimed at improving the practice of the medicine rather than a work of artist. So, si Andreas po is more on sa medicine naman po siya. Unlike kay Leonardo, is sa paint siya. Kasi artist siya, guys. He did dissection with his own hands and observed with the care and objectivity. So, ito po ay nag-aral po siya nang siya lang. Investigate something na siya lang without any book. Yes, not from book. So, mag-investigate siya, hindi siya more on palabas. Siguro siya po ay experiment something by the use of the medicine na hindi na siya, or hindi niya na kinakailangang magbasa ng libro. Yes. Siguro nagbabasa man siya, pero kung may gusto siyang experiment, something like that, is gusto niya sa sarili niya mismo ma-discover yun. The location of the soul in the human body, the question much discussed in his day. He tragically contributed to the demarcation of science from theology. New knowledge, especially when it requires a basic change in one's consequent conception of two or of the world takes a long time to win acceptance, and moreover its victory is never complete. So, about po sa human body ng isang tao, para sa kanya is ang marami ng kasing changes na naganap from the medieval period. So, kumbaga yung mga tao lang dati is parang puwan lang sa mga simpleng bagay, masaya na. Unlike kasi ngayon, nasa modern times na tayo sa medieval period, medieval age is meron daming changes. Yung changes na yun is sobrang layo nung times na yan. Yung mga times sila. Kasi nga po is dahil sa changes nagkaroon ng technology, ang daming mga na-experiment ng mga scientists, kagaya sa mga nabanggit ko kanina, ng mga scientists. Then sila kasi po is nagkaroon ng mga changes, karoon ng modern times, ang daming nabago. So, we have the Galileo Galilei. He made highly significant contributions in physics and astronomy. So, si Galileo po is isa siyang physician. Physician po siya. Kasi po is, itong physics kasi nung when I was in high school, parang ang hirap aralin. Sobrang hirap talaga. Kaya ang galing niya. So, physician po siya. He was the first person. Siya po yung kauna-unahang gumamit ng telescope for astronomical. So, siguro po is, ginamit niya yun to observation. Siya po yung kauna-unahang gumamit ng telescope for astronomical to observe. He was firmly convinced of his value experimentation in physics. So, nag-experiment po kasi siya. Yes, experiment. Unlike naman kay Leonardo is sa painting, yung kay Andreas naman is about sa medicine. Ito naman po is about sa physics. Yes. Yung physical laws, siyempre, marami mga kanyan. Komplikado. So, physics organized the power of mathematics in the formulation of physical laws. Kasi itong physics more on numbers. Yes, parang math. Komplikado. His work consistently represented the combination of objective observation and rational theoretical analysis that is now characteristic of the scientific approach to knowledge. It opened the way systematic formulation of the basic law of physical mechanics, which was later achieved by Isaac Newton in the year 1642 to 1727. Galileo acknowledged that there was a question that do not lie within the province of science. Copernican theory that the sun, not the earth, is the center of our planetary system. So, kasi nasabi niya ni Galileo na hindi ang mundo ang ating sentro, kundi ang sun. Bakit? Kasi yung sun po is rotate. Yes, it revolves around it and rotates upon its axis. So, kaya nga merong tayong umaga at dilim. So, pabalik-balik lang siya. Umaga-gabi, ganun. So, he published his dialogue. So, wait lang. In addition ko lang po, sabi niya kasi yung earth is andun lang, naka-stay lang siya. While dun sa sun, nagro-rotate. Yes. He published his dialogue on the two chief system of the world in the year 1632. It is impossible to aggregate that two truths should be contradict one another. Holy Scripture is unquestionably true, and consequent theory cannot be in contribution within it if it also is true. Even the religious acceptable of the scientific theory must depend upon the empirical investigation of nature, not scripture. The Bible, he wrote, was not written to teach us astronomy. So, marami kasing basic kung saan nagmula ang mga bagay-bagay. So, sa atin naman this present time is yung faith pa rin natin yung nananalig kung saan nga ba tayo nanggaling. Saan nanggaling ang mga ganitong bagay o ganitong pangyayari. Hindi, nasa faith po natin kay God. Kaya meron po tayong Bible, which is kung ano po yung mga nakasulat rito is yun po yung mga pinaniniwalaan natin. Kasi po, hindi naman sinasabi, pero sa mga scientists kasi, to see is to believe sa kanila. If they cannot see, they cannot believe. So, they cannot believe in God. Yes, di sila naniniwala kasi they cannot see. Pero tayo kasi, di naniniwala tayo. Kasi po, parte na po yun ng beliefs natin. So, we have the scientific attitude. The first one, the sources of scientific knowledge. The only source of the knowledge in other phenomena is the direct examination of the phenomenon. So, ito po kasi is talks about our knowledge kung paano tayo nakaka-adapt ng kaalaman sa ibang bagay o sa ibang tao. Yes, difference of view about the natural phenomenon are rewardable by observation experiment, not by appeal to authority. Such as process requires no hierarchical social organization. Nature is not influenced by the status of the investigator. So, tayo kasi is nagkakaroon tayo ng knowledge with the investigation, with the research. Yes. So, Galileo claimed that the secrets of the nature are open to the investigation by every man who goes about it properly. It questions of method, not of status. So, si Galileo po is, we learn with our own by the help of each other within to interact. Yes, siyempre natututo tayo with the interact to each other. Huwag nating ibase sa status ng ating pamumuhay o kung ano yung estado natin sa buhay. To learn something, to learn new. So, we have the number 2, the demarcation of science. According to Santo Tomas Aquinas, there is no fundamental distinction between matters of fact and matters of morals. Morals have the same status of the laws of physics. They are absolutely unnegatable by man. Physical demarcation. So, ito po kasi po Santo Tomas is think between matters of fact. So, sa katotohanan, sa moralidad. So, sa moral laws kasi is tinutukoy niya yung estado, which is yung estado na yun, it ito yung mga patakaran o yung mga batas na sinusunod according sa kay Galileo sa kanyang physics. So, yan nabanggit ko kanya, si Galileo is siyang physician. Their absolutely unbeatable non-physics determination is, in fact, there is still much dispute among philosophers of science about this. So, the study of social phenomena, it is very difficult to apply clear empirical tests for the variety of reasons. So, we cannot, hindi lang tayo basta-basta kasi pwedeng give some reason. Yes, kailangan dapat natin minsan tanggapin na minsan may some mistake tayo. Yes, and then yung mistake na yun, tayo lang din ang makakapagbigay ng reason para maitama. So, we have the number 3, Platonic idealism and Aristotelian essentialism. So, dito guys, pumapasok po yung ating imagination. So, Plato advised the view of sense of experience is to considerable degree misleading. Misleading na sinasabi guys is give wrong information, mga mali informasyon. Kasi po ginagamit lang ng ang ating illusion to imagine something. Yes. For example, imagine mo magkasama kayo ng crush mo, kinikilig ka, pero in the fact, hindi mo naman siya kasama in the real life situation. So, next one, the Homeric view. Whatever happens is due to the will of the gods. Conspiracy theory, social phenomena, and events are due of those secret mechanisms of the powerful. If the powerful financier wishes to raise their price of the silver, so tinutukoy niya po dito is talks about the view. For instance, pumili ako ng gold or silver, 50% off, and may discount pang 5%, sabi nila. So, ako naman, na-attract ako kasi may mga discount. Yun po pala is may computation. Kapag 50% discount po pala, half lang. And then pag may another discount, may way sila how to high the price. So, paano nila tataasan yung price ng mga pwede mong bilhin. Yes. So, parang mautak din kasi mga negosyante. Pag di naman nila yun gagawin, is hindi rin naman sila kikita. So, kailangan natin to be investigate or we should knowing about that yung mga nabibili natin. So, next one, the idea of progress. The classical age of Greece that is characterized by the psychical movements. Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species in the year 1859 contended the modern organic species had been evolved from earlier forms and suggested that even man himself was the result of the process of progressive development rather than fixed and final creation. So, the ideal of progress po is yung tukoy niya po dito is yung yung ating development. Kung how we can fix something. Kung ano nga ba talaga yung talagang outcome. So, ito po is nung Greece time. Ito yung mga Romans time. Dito po kasi is more on gods and goddesses na mga pinaniniwalaan natin o mga tawag dito. Ito yung mga pinaniniwalaan ng times na yan. Kasi sa Greece po at Rome, more on gods and goddesses. kagaya ng gods of hearts, Cupid, gods of something, ganun. They believe with them. Yes, about the cyclical movements. So, yan lamang po ang aking report for this day. Thank you for listening and watching. Hope po mayroon po tayong natutunan kahit na some of the details are medyo komplikado. Thank you and good night.